Fall is in the air. It's much cooler out these days, and the rain came back. But that's not going to stop us from all the great activities that are still allowing us to get outdoors before the winter comes and coops us up inside. Welcome to People, Places, and Politics. I'm Patty Milne. There's one great event coming up that you'll really want to get outdoors for. It's called Mud, Sweat, and Beers. It's a great adventure, especially if you're a runner or if you like brew fests, if you like music, if you like good food. This is a new event, and it is our first annual Mud, Sweat, and Beers. It's brought to you by the Woodburn Rotary Club and Legacy Financial. It's a 5K run, as I just said, a brew fest, and so much more. With me today is John Zobrist, who is a fellow Woodburn Rotarian. And John is working real hard behind the scenes with a number of other Rotarians to get the planning together, get ready for this October 3rd event. Before we talk about all this great stuff that's going to happen at the Mud, Sweat, and Beers event on October 3rd, I want to just share a little bit about John's background, what brings him to this event. John and his lovely wife Robin went to the Wilsonville area back in 1989 from Bend. You and Robin got married, and about the same time you bought a house in Woodburn, though, in 1991. So you've been in Woodburn for several years. You weren't able to get as involved in community events and activities or join organizations like the Chamber and Rotary because you traveled a lot. But with what you shared with me, your company had a merger. It changed your travel experience, so now you can spend more time. So you joined the Chamber, and then you learned about Rotary. And you learned that Rotary was planning this Mud, Sweat, and Beers event. It piqued your interest. You jumped in, you joined Rotary, and now you're an expert on Mud, Sweat, and Beers.
Let's let everybody else be the decider on that, whether or not I'm an expert, but certainly excited about the event.
Good. So let's talk about it. Like I said, it's a multifaceted event on Saturday, October 3rd. Where's it going to be? Let's jump into it.
So the Mud, Sweat, and Beers, obviously a play on words, but it's going to be a brew fest, a community event from noon till 10, and there's also a 5K mud run. That's the beautiful part. It's going to be at the Wooden Shoe Tulip Farm. If you're familiar with the Tulip Festival in Woodburn, a few miles east of Woodburn, it's a pretty popular location. And one of the owners of the Tulip Farm is also a fellow Rotarian, and he offered the place for us to do this as a fundraiser, because we're an organization that likes to raise money for causes, and so he actually, Paul Iverson, has set that up, and we're going to have it there.
Yeah. So what? Well, let's just talk right away about. Let's talk specifically about the run. It's going to be a real adventure.
Yes.
I went out and I didn't walk the entire course the other day, but I went with a group who were looking at it, figuring out, along with Paul, where the course ought to be, what's safe, what's fun, what's challenging. So talk a little bit about the obstacles.
So there's 12 obstacles that are going to be taking place. If you can imagine, it is a farm. A working farm, a tulip farm, and if you've been to the Tulip Fest. But there's so much more when you go to the Tulip Festival. There's clear across the road, there's fields that they grow and they plant in, and there's huge ponds and dikes and terrain that's available, and views of Mount Hood. It's going to be a beautiful thing, but the actual different obstacles, there'll be under irrigation pipes, so where you're going to have to jump over irrigation pipes and crawl under irrigation pipes. Remember, it is going to be the first part of October, and there will be some water. It's a mud run. It's not intended to be just go out and sweat run. This is a challenger course. But then hay bales, jumping over hay bales. There's some obstacles through a graveyard of old farm machinery and implements. There's this one side hill where they're doing an S-curve that you have to really run on the side of this hill, and parts of it will have mud and others won't. And then towards the end, there's going to be a long slip and slide. So you slide down the slip and slide into the pond, and at that point you're probably thankful for the opportunity to rinse off some of the mud. And then just as we're entering back towards the Brewfest and where you would normally be at the Tulip Festival, that's where the event's going to take place, the start and the finish. We're going to have a gauntlet of things. If you're a person who doesn't participate in a mud run or that type of event, you come to the Brewfest, we're going to offer for sale water balloons. And so the people in the mud run are going to have to run a gauntlet there at the last few hundred feet of people pelting them with water balloons. So there's something for everyone.
We're making it sound quite challenging, and it will be. However, if runners don't want to do, they're not able to, or they simply want to avoid one of the obstacles, is that okay?
Absolutely.
So
yeah, it's intended to be fun, and in any one of the obstacles, if you don't want to take it, if you try it and you can't do it, you can certainly bypass the obstacle.
Won't be penalized for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tickets. Let's talk about getting tickets, a team. What do we need for a team?
So the 4-person teams, and so if you join as a team, there's a discount for a team. Individual is $35, which includes $10 of that is your entrance into the Brewfest, and or $25 without. And then for those that are under 21, the Brewfest, of course, is 21 and over. And so if you want to run in the mud run, it's $25 just for the mud run.
And then there were some other things, as we're talking about the registration and the entry, the Brewfest fee. There's some other things that come with it, like a mug.
Sure. You get a mug, you get 3 tastings,
Uh-huh.
and so yeah, that's part of it. That's for the Brewfest, and that's for all the entertainment that's going to be there. There will be food vendors, food for sale, and of course, if you wanted more than the 3 tastings, the beer will be for sale as well.
Okay, let's talk about the breweries. I do want to go back to some more details on the actual run for people who are interested in participating in this. But the breweries, we have several breweries who have made a commitment to join us, and you have those with you?
Yes.
Go.
So Portland Cider Company, Gilgamesh Brewing here from Salem, and Mazama Brewing, Seven Brides from Silverton, Firestone Walker Brewing, and Nectar Creek Mead. And then also,
Where are they from?
I do not know. That's the one I didn't know. And then the other one is the winery, Wooden Shoe. The Tulip Farm is a winery as well, and so they'll be represented.
Good. For those of us who don't drink beer, the winery is very,
they have pretty
very
good wine.
welcome.
I tasted it.
Good. Going back to the run, the mud run. What time should people be there? Well, of course, they're going to register first, but just to give people an idea, we'll talk about registration in a minute. What time? There'll be a couple of waves of people starting?
Several waves. They're going to put people out in waves starting at 11 a.m. And ending at 1. And so that'll be the time that people are actually running. Someone will be there as early as 9 o'clock to start registration. So if you want to get there early and get warmed up and do the things that you do, you can be there. You can be there early and get registered. And registering online is an easy way to get started.
Would John go ahead if you have it handy there? We'll repeat this before we finish the show. But go ahead and people, if you have your paper and pencil, registration. Here's the information you need to know.
Great. So you can get to the registration directly from the Woodburn Chamber website. It's Woodburn Rotary website, woodburnrotary.org. And There's a link there to go to the registration. If you want to go directly to the people who are helping us put on the event, it's http://aasportsltd.com/mud-sweat-beers-adventure-5k. That's a long one, but we'll have it up on screen for you as well.
Yes, yes, and we'll repeat that. Food vendors. We have
So far, 4 food vendors, and we wanted it to be exciting for them to show up to an event. So we didn't want to have a ton of food vendors, but we wanted to have a wide variety. And so Mama's Russian Food, they're great pierogies. They're out of Woodburn. They're going to be there. And there's certainly some Mexican food and 2 American food vendors that are signed up. So it's going to be plenty of really good food to go along with the great beer and wine that they have there for us.
Great.
And the music.
Great. People who are going to enjoy the Brew Fest aren't going to run, but you mentioned they can throw water balloons at the runners. They can watch. They can probably be along the course and cheer family and friends on. What else can they do?
Well, I was up for getting a fire truck and selling people the rights to hose the people down, but that was a liability issue they really didn't want to bring on. I thought that people would pay for that. As far as the Brew Fest itself, certainly the Wooden Shoe Tulip Farm is gorgeous in its own right. The gardens and everything there, and the views. The entire area will be open for people to walk around and see. But as far as that, there's music. There's going to be a number of bands. They're playing all day long. And with our signature entertainer of the evening will be Robbie Law's trio. Robbie Laws is a...
And do you have some of the other
I do.
bands? So share that.
So the first one is 853, and they are grunge piano.
What is grunge piano
Well,
mean?
I really don't know. I listened to some of their stuff. It was pretty good. Kind of bluesy, high energy. It's a duo. And so, there's guitar and piano, and it was pretty interesting stuff. So they're 853. That's 8, the word spelled out in the numerals 53.
Good.
Oleada is a Latin American rhythms, little Latin jazz, and some other types of music. Interesting mix, but it kind of blends in with Crush of Rhinos. They do 80s and 90s rock. Crush of Rhinos. I was like, where do people come up with these names? I love it.
There's a story there, but
I used to be in the music industry, and it's always surprised me some of the names that people come up with for bands. Woodburn Rocks. Now that's an interesting one. That's some local Woodburn teens that really do a fantastic job with 70s blues and cover top 10 hits. And the guitar player, Little Swenson. He's
he'll be there. He's fantastic.
So some interesting Woodburn teens, and then the headliner for the day is the Robbie Laws trio. Robbie Laws is really a legendary blues guitarist. He's at several albums. He's album of the year. Almost every time that he puts one out, he ends up getting album of the year. He's played at the Waterfront Blues Festival, multiple occasions. Toured and appeared on, more albums than you can count. He's just really a well-seasoned icon in the Northwest blues scene. So looking forward to having them there.
Great. So we also want to talk about the beneficiaries of the event.
That's part of why I joined Rotary. I had joined the Woodburn Chamber and was getting more involved in the local community because they don't have to travel as much anymore. And a couple of events where we were doing things for the Woodburn Boys and Girls Club. They do some amazing things after school and with the kids that it's astounding how far they can make their resources go. And it's just a type of activity that helps young people really connect outside the home with other people in a positive way. So can't say enough about the Boys and Girls Club. And that was when I found out they were doing, I'd met Matt Geiger from the chamber, and he was talking about the Mud, Sweat, and Beers when we were at the Boys and Girls Club. I asked, well, what was that all about? And that's why I joined the Rotaries, because I really wanted to get behind this event, initially because of the Boys and Girls Club.
Great. And then, of course, some of the proceeds will go to the Woodburn Rotary Foundation, which helps us do all the things that we do, and also Everyday Warrior. And
I'm not as familiar with that one.
I'm not either. I think I know who they are, but I better not speak on it. But it's just some examples of specifically the Boys and Girls Club, and then some other
There's just
organizations.
so much that Rotary does. I had no idea before I joined. I always knew I was in Interact in high school, and it's a Rotary high school group. And so I always knew, the philanthropic nature of the organization, but I had no idea that the whole thing with polio, Rotary taking it out and eradicating polio.
We're this close to
very
totally eradicating polio, and yes, it's because of Rotary International, and all of the clubs worldwide who support it.
Yeah, it's amazing. The cost of vaccinating people is so small, and from what I've read, the only thing that's left is there's just some pockets that just won't let their people get vaccinated.
Yeah. Hard to, but we're this close, as we say. Sponsors, is there still time for a company, a business, an individual to be a sponsor?
There are some sponsorships available still for individual obstacles and some things. You can contact us through the Woodburn Rotary, and we'll get you that contact information.
And you will be in great company, because our sponsors do include Silverton Health, who else? Woodburn Vision Source,
Columbia Bank.
I mentioned in opening Legacy Financial. And then I had a list here too. There are several others.
The CPA.
Yes, Earl Doman. And they are sponsors. And I think the sponsorships keep coming in, and unfortunately, at least I don't have the most updated list. Oregon State Credit Union, Vision Source I mentioned, Columbia Bank, as you said. So there is still time to do that, and they can get in touch if you're interested with that. Again, go to the Rotary's website.
Probably, I think Matt's in charge. So
that's correct. You're correct. You're correct.
Matt Geiger, and the easiest way to get a hold of him would be, excuse me, through American Family Insurance in Woodburn. You can get a hold of him through the office there, and he's generally available. He also coaches football, so don't call between 3 and 5. He won't be there.
Or you could get a hold of him at the chamber, or also to go to
he's the Woodburn Chamber president this year. So there's lots of ways to get a hold of us and message us. We would love to, if you have an interest, and if you have an interest in volunteering.
Yes, we do need volunteers if this is something you're interested in too. I will give Laura Dix, who's my daughter. She is the person to contact for general race information, and you can get a hold of her at laura.dix, that's D-I-X, at lpl.com, or 503-982-7040. And so that, like I say, there are lots of opportunities to be involved in this. You can run, you can volunteer, you can be a sponsor, you can come to the Brew Fest.
And another thing, that time of year, the Tulip Festival, once it gets dark, they do their zombie ride.
I'm glad you're mentioning that. I didn't want to forget to talk about. So talk about the zombie hunt.
The zombie hunt's an interesting thing. It's like a hayride where they put you in the back of this tractor with the cage around it, and it's a platform, and they give you paintball guns, and they drive through the fields, and there are zombies in the field, and you get to shoot the zombies with the paint gun. That sounds actually like a lot of fun.
And you don't want for the zombies to get after you. I think they've been doing this for some time, so it's an activity that people keep coming back for. A lot of fun. So be sure to think about doing that. What have we not covered here? Something for everybody to do, whether you're a runner or you want to enjoy the Brew Fest, taste the beers, the wine, food, entertainment.
Oh, they get their race bib.
Yes.
And they get the token, their tokens. They get their mug, and you get a discount to the Brew Fest if you register as a runner. So instead of for the general public, just to come to the Brew Fest only, because remember that's an all-day event in itself.
Yes.
You know, and the mud run is part of it, and so I would like the general public to know that the Brew Fest is it's a music and breweries and food great event that's happening all day Saturday from noon till 10, and and the mud runs generally just in the morning, and so anyway, it's over 21 and it's $15. But if you do the run, you get $5 discount off the Brew Fest entry.
Yes. And the ages on the putting a team together, the ages of the participants.
I didn't see that we had an age limit. On
so if you have an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, if you want to put together a family team or something like that.
And some of our sponsorships do include a team registration.
Yes.
So if you want to be a sponsor, you want to run a team, there's an opportunity for you to be a sponsor and get a team registered for the run.
Great, great. So let's go through one more time and do some contact information.
Sure.
We've talked a lot about who's in charge of what and all these activities happening at once.
So as far as getting to the race sports, it's you can email events@aasportsltd.com, or you can visit www.aasports.ltd.com/mud-sweat-beers-adventure-5K. That's a long one. Or go to woodburnrotary.org, and there's a link directly from there. And if you have sponsorship questions, you can call Matt Geiger at American Family in Woodburn. You could also call me. I'd be happy to forward that on and facilitate anything. And
so give your contact information.
My contact information is 503-931-5020 is my cell. And you can email me, johnez@1962@msn.com.
Great, great. So again, this is on Saturday, October 3rd, just a little more than 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
Hopefully the weather's going to be good.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't run personally because I'd hurt my ankle in the past, but I can't imagine trudging through mud in the rain and cold. It would be, but there are people that do this. It's big. These adventure runs.
To it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I've seen Spartan races. I've seen one of my cousins does a bubble run.
Oh my.
Up on PIR, they run through 3.5 miles of bubbles, like foam and bubbles. Yeah. And the color run, those are really popular, where you run and they throw dye at you. And people just all sorts of things to get out and have fun and be healthy, exercising. That's a big thing today. So.
It is. It is. And you have been speaking of that, you've been distributing information, flyers. Maybe somebody who's watching this has seen a flyer. Yes, that's what we're talking about. Flyers should be in where have you been?
So we've been putting them in like the CrossFits, the health clubs, the running stores. Those are places where we've been putting them. We've been very heavily trying to share and put the word out on Facebook and get the shares and the likes. And anyone that I know that has ever posted that they've been involved in a run like this is getting blanketed by me on social media. So
yeah. So again, there's still plenty of time to, but a little more than 2 weeks out. Get it on your calendar. Make the contact and sign up, register.
I did want to mention, you had asked something, and it didn't occur to me at the time. If someone's under 18, their parent or guardian has to be there on the race day.
Yes, thank you for saying that. Right.
And it's also a self-timed event.
Yes, talk about that. And I'm sure runners who do these kinds of events know what you're talking about, but go ahead and explain
So there's
it.
clocks at the start and finish line of the event, and you log your time that you start and the time that you end, and that gives you your time. So.
Okay, good.
And the people going out in waves. We encourage you to wear waterproof clothing. There will be towels. There will be places to change. There will, things of that nature. But yeah, don't expect to do the mud run and come out looking clean.
And there will also be a secure place to leave your belongings if you are one of the runners. And as John just said, there will be a place to change and then go enjoy the Brew Fest and the music and the food. And
yep, there will definitely be a gear check for those
gear
things.
check, yes. So that's taken care of as well. I'm going to look here real fast at some of my notes, and while we have just a little time left, what else we can share with people.
Just want to remind everyone that we talk a lot about the mud run aspect, and really that's a part of the event. The Brew Fest and the music, it's really an all-day celebration of everything that's fall. It's an Oktoberfest environment, and the Wooden Shoe Tulip Farm is not a bad place to spend your Saturday afternoon or evening listening to music and enjoying good food and beer.
Could pick up some bulbs to plant for next spring, too.
I'm sure they would.
I'm going to be doing that.
Absolutely.
So again, as John's saying, this mud run, Brew Fest, the zombie hunt.
Zombie hunt.
That'll be a lot of fun. Saturday, October 3rd, the run begins at 11.
Yes.
11. The Brew Fest begins at noon. Goes till 10 p.m. You can just stay, enjoy the day. And as John's saying, there are lots of places to wander on the property, on the grounds, on the farm, and enjoy your Saturday afternoon and evening. So be sure to come and join us. So thank you, John, for being here to share all this great excitement. Mud, Sweat, and Beers, Saturday, October 3rd.
Look forward to having them there.
Good, thanks.